Hey guys, I'm feeling pink today. Pretty in pink. Today we're going to talk about the Haikelite MT01. I like this better than the SC01, which I filmed a review, I haven't uploaded it yet. The SC01 is very similar. It uses a different LED, but it uses the 26650 batteries. This is bigger, uses three 18650s, and has the XHP 50. So this is a little different, but they are very, very similar lights. So let's go over the stats here with this bad boy first. Talk about that. See, as I mentioned, it takes the three 18650s, ultra clear double-sided AR into reflective glass, IPX8 waterproof, 2500 lumens, 300 meter throw. It says it uses a boost driver with 93% efficiency, reverse polarity protection, anti-discharge protection. There are your modes. You got a low, 50 lumens 75, low. Normal low is 250 for 15, middle 850 for 5, and high 2500 lumens for 105. And it also has a strobe. One thing I will note, don't use the lockout. Just like with the SC01, it is very difficult to get this light out of lockout. The cadence that you need to do to get this thing unlocked is really difficult. What you do is a short press and a long press, and it seems simple, but it really just takes like really perfect timing to unlock it. So I'm going to say, don't do it. All right. So let's look at the light itself. As I mentioned, this is a 3 light, and we're going to open this up in a minute to look. With the electronic switch on the side here, that is the only switch that is powered all the time, so it will drain the battery slightly over time. As I mentioned, you have that anti-reflective coating on the glass, which you can see a little reflection there, so it's not perfect. Orange peel reflector, and then that big XHP 50 high voltage LED. Now, if you're me, you caught on, wait a minute, why does this need a boost converter if it uses three 18650s? Haha. So this is actually set up in a very interesting way. It has 3 batteries in here, but as you can see, they're all the same, which means they're set up in parallel. Now with parallel, your voltage stays the same, but your capacity for your batteries adds up. So the capacity for all 3 of these adds up, and they remain at 4.2 volts. Now, if they were in serial, it would be the opposite. You would have 12 volts and then the capacity of 1 battery. So by using parallel, what that does is give you a really high capacity, and number 2, it allows you to use any combination of batteries. So you can take out 1 battery or 2 batteries. You can run this on anything from 1 to 3 batteries. One thing you do want to pay attention to is make sure you're putting in 3 matched, evenly charged batteries. If you don't, really bad things can happen. If 1 battery empties out before the others, the charge can kind of reverse flow back into it, and then what you have is a pipe bomb, essentially. Build quality on this is terrific. I mean, look at that brass connector ring to make contact with your batteries. The retaining ring, everything on this is just super beefy. There's really, for a light that's not super expensive, they did a lot of good stuff with this. I'm really impressed with the efforts they went for build quality on this bad boy. That big brass ring there is just astounding. You never see that. The springs in the bottom are super tough, super big springs. The stainless steel bezel looks nice. Good, the glass is really nice, clear glass. They didn't really cut costs on this. The one thing I could say, it would be a negative. The threads are not the best. They are a little, I almost feel a little spongy, but that's okay. But they are O-ring sealed. This is IPX8 waterproof. All right, let's go on to user interface real quick. It's simple. You literally just push the button to turn it on, hold to cycle through your 4 modes, double click gets you to strobe. Oops. Another single click brings you back and turns it off. Alright, no moonlight, which I'm kind of disappointed. This light could really, if you're going to have an E-switch, at least go to the trouble and have a moonlight. There's nothing occupying, the long press from off. That would have been a great opportunity for a moonlight, so a little disappointed there. You have your lanyard spot on the end. The light will tail stand, even though it does have that, which is awesome. Could use some anti-roll flats. This thing will roll like you wouldn't believe, so it's actually kind of even tough to get it to sit on the table. It comes in a similar box, a little plastic container box, and inside there is a foam insert, your lanyard, and some spare O-rings. Alright, so you're going to start seeing some footage cut in. Of course, we lost our white balance of this being used. And we lost our focus. So this is a floodlight. This puts out a lot of light over a big distance. 2,500 lumens is quite a bit of light, as you can see, but it spreads it out. Two kind of lights, as we talked about in videos before. Flooders, throwers. Floods throw out a nice tight beam to go the distance. Flooders spread their light out over an area. Now this does have some pretty decent throw in that it can go 300 yards, but this really is a close distance flutter. You know, this just lights up the whole backyard and does a fantastic job at that. So price on this thing, you know, gearbest, there are always going to be sales and discount codes and things like that hunt around. So it is a little expensive out of the gate, but if you catch this thing on sale, you catch it with a coupon code, you can get this at a pretty reasonable price. And when you look at the market and you look at the other XHP 50 lights, this is actually a pretty decent bargain. It's not as fully featured as the O-lights, you know, and some of the other bigger brands, but for a small, no-name, I've never heard of them brand, they've really done a lot right with this light. You know, the only things I could really criticize about the light is it really could use a moonlight. You know, if you're going to have that electronic switch, you're going to have it draining the battery 24/7, at least give me moonlight. You know, the anodizing, this is my least favorite kind of anodizing. I don't know the names and types of anodizing, but I know this is the kind I hate the most. It just seems to rub off the easiest. One positive I did forget to mention, this does have, even though I mentioned not to use that electronic lockout because it's a pain, you can lock the light out mechanically by just unscrewing it slightly, and that will break the connection electronically, and then it will not kill your battery. It has memory mode for any of the 4 modes, just not strobe. So there we are. So we talked about quite a bit here. This is a very interesting light. I like the fact that they kind of went big with it. The 2500 lumens does not get this too hot. It gets hot, don't get me wrong, but not as hot as some of the smaller O-lights out there that are putting out the same lumens. As far as how you're going to use it, who's going to use this, I think this makes a really good car light. The only negative is it's not rechargeable, so it is something you have to pay attention to the batteries in. Great for those guys who are doing the kind of work where they need a lot of light in a small area. Maybe guys who are doing security, maybe guys who are doing kind of law enforcement kind of stuff. I definitely see this. Would I carry this on my belt? No way. It's just kind of too big to go on the belt. Would I keep this in the car? Would I keep this in a kit? Yes, you know. So I think just anywhere where you can get a hold of an XHP 50, you know, is always good. And plus, I really like, and one of the things I think really sets this light apart, I'm pouting. One of the things that really sets this light apart from the competition is the fact that they have the battery set up in parallel, so that you have the option to use 1, 2, or 3 batteries with the boost converter. Of course, you're losing efficiency there. That cuts into, you know, your capacity, but at the same time, you know, when you're in a pinch, that can be really handy just to throw one 18650 in there. Now, as far as which ones will work, I'm using the LG MJ1s, which are 3500 milliamp hour unprotected batteries. They work great. Pretty much everything I've thrown in it works. I think the only thing that didn't work are some of the really long protected batteries. You really had to crunch it down more than I was comfortable with, but other than that, pretty happy with it, guys. This is a light, you know, if I was looking for one big flutter light, this would definitely be a light I would consider buying. Knowing what I know now and wanting to keep that price range where it is. So overall, guys, nice, great job for such a small, unheard of company.